Today we're taking a look at Payday 3. I've been having an absolute blast with the game, but I wanted to take a moment and go over 5 key points with you that could help decide if this game is for you or not. We're going to be breaking the game down in as follows: graphics and visual appeal, weapons and their impact, skills in any skill tree systems, phases of the game, and any crashes, hiccups, or optimization issues that I ran into. So first up on the list we have graphics and visual appeal. I'm playing on a 1440p monitor on ultra settings with an uncapped frame rate. While Payday 3 isn't pushing the bleeding in edge of graphics, I will say that it is still very visually appealing. Everything feels really crisp and fluid, which I appreciate, but where I really feel like Payday 3 stands out is in its particle effects. They did a really good job of making smoke effects, fire effects, that sort of thing feel really impactful in the game. And the best example I can give is when you use your overkill weapon and you're launching grenades at cops, and there's smoke and explosions and stuff going everywhere. It doesn't feel so over the top that it's not realistic, it just feels right. And I really, really like how they did that.
Get on! I'm gonna fuck you up! I have to carry the shield! You will never get through! You're gonna be DOA!
So next on the list we have weapons and their impact. I believe that all shooters need to have snappy, impactful guns, and that they all feel like they're packing some sort of punch whenever you pull the trigger. So I've only demoed a few of the weapons so far: the starting assault rifle, the pistol, and the shotgun, as well as the grenade launcher. You do have to level up to unlock most of them. What I will say is that they all feel very impactful. Whenever you shoot a cop, they respond accordingly to the bullets. If they're armored, they respond differently as well. The only thing that kind of feels a little lackluster, and it's sad to say, is the grenade launcher. Whenever you shoot the grenade, whether it's direct impact or delay, whenever it blows up, and this goes for the grenades as well, whenever they blow up, the particle effects do look amazing. It's just, there's something missing with the explosions. They don't feel like they really have that concussive force behind them. They don't knock anybody down, so you do the damage and it just kind of phases through them and they recover almost immediately. I would have really liked to have seen these grenades knock the police officers down, or maybe on the heavier units it makes them stumble, but the lighter armored units, they actually fall over or they're affected more. Other than that though, there's nothing else to really complain about when it comes to the guns. Like I said, they are very snappy, they do feel really good, and they do feel impactful. Now, that's not to say that the lower half of the guns, they all could be absolutely terrible, and I won't know until I get there, and I'll have to let you guys know. Coming up in third is the skill systems in the game. There is a perk tree or a skill tree, however you want to say it, and a weapon progression system. Now, with the weapon progression system, it's what you pretty much expect nowadays out of any first-person shooter. The more you use a weapon, the more you level it up, and the more attachments you unlock. The attachments have the pros and cons, the little plus and minuses on them, so you can kind of detail your weapon how you see fit for any given heist or loadout. And they also have a paint system that has charms and stickers and different things like that that you can customize your weapons with. Now, going right along, we have the skill point system. As you play, you'll be able to unlock skill points, and you can invest those into the given skill trees. They have a pretty extensive list from what I can tell. You have anything from like sharpshooter to escapist, all the way down to engineer, gunslinger, grifter, hacker, tactician, even CQC specialist. So you're really able to build your character how you want. And I imagine that this is a necessity when you start playing at higher difficulties. Now, I'm not sure if this was something that they had in previous Payday games, but it does add a good bit of depth to it. So now we're rounding up on our fourth point that we're going to cover, and that's the phases of the game. So Payday 3 has a few different phases that you progress throughout any match. First starts off with the stealth phase, where you kind of figure out how you're going to tackle the situation and see if you're going to take a more stealthy approach or just going guns blazing. This is the first area of the game that I really ran into a problem with, because if you're just doing matchmaking and not playing with friends, you really don't get to experience this stealth mode. It can probably be passed off as just a sign of impatience, but for the most part, when you're matchmaking and you get matched with a bunch of people that don't use mics or don't communicate, the stealth phase is pretty much non-existent. And it's kind of sad to see, but that's just how the state of the game is. And I can see that becoming a roadblock for any missions that would actually require you to play stealthy or even progress through the level. Now, if you're playing with friends, I really don't see this as being an issue. It probably adds a little bit more depth to the game, and that's quite alright. I'm just saying, be forewarned, if you do play matchmaking, just be prepared to pretty much skip the entire stealth phase. The gameplay loop is pretty much go into a heist, go through the stealth mode, and then once everything breaks loose, you start fighting cops, you coordinate with your team to break open a vault or hack into something to get access to the money or the loot. And then once that's done, you're going to coordinate and carry the multiple bags of loot from point A to point B, and then fight multiple waves of cops in between that, and then finally extract. So wrapping it up with our final point, we're coming into crashes, hiccups, and optimization. Now, in my very first match, I did have a few hiccups, and that might have been attributed to the game on launch day, but I never had a crash, and I didn't have any optimization issues. It pretty much loaded everything in, preset all my settings, and it ran great. I did switch the field of view, but that was about it. Now, I will say I did try to stream the game later on in the day, and the servers were completely down. So that is frustrating when you have a game that comes out day one and you can't play it. I'm pretty sure what happened was when it hit peak time, everybody wanted to play, and it was just server overload and everything went down. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. I appreciate each and every one of you, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It's going to help me produce more content and try to get it to you in a more timely fashion. Also, let me know what you think of the game down in the comments below. Are you enjoying it? Do you hate it? How does it compare to the previous Payday versions? Because I haven't played any of those. And before we get out of here, I want to hit you guys with a few pros and cons. It's just a few quick little points that I thought about as I was playing the game, and I wanted to throw them in here to get a little bit of feedback from everybody to see what they think as well. Starting with the pros, I do think that the game plays great and it feels fun and impactful with the right amount of teamwork baked into it. The progression systems, they keep the players engaged, and it's something to look forward to after each heist with the skill systems and that sort of thing. And the future DLC has promised to bring, new weapons, skins, and new heists to keep the game fresh. Now, with the cons, I do wish there was more enemy varieties. I feel like after a while it could get a little stagnant going through the different phases of the enemies and knowing exactly what to expect. I also wish that there was just a more refined way to experience the stealth areas. Maybe have like some way that there's a solo option where if your buddies get caught, it really doesn't affect your progression to the stealth progression, I guess you could say. And coming up with the last one, I feel like there was really a missed opportunity with the game not having an option to match up against other players that could be playing cops. I think it would really add like a new element to the game in a sort of Left 4 Dead style gameplay loop. Hopefully this is something that they could add in the future. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Everybody take care.